Thanks.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for
Hey,
joining
good
us
evening.
this evening. Um, as people begin to come in, please feel free to use the chat to introduce yourself and your business. We'll wait a few more minutes before we get started.
Good. Hey, Roger.
How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing great. Doing
Good,
great.
good. I see my good dear friend Stacy Blakely. Hi, Stacy.
Hi, Chairwoman. Good to see you.
Thank you. Likewise. It's good to hear your voice, I'll say.
You as well.
Can't quite see you, but I'm happy to see your name. Thank you to all of our other businesses that are here today.
Okay, Trinity, it's 6 o'clock. We want to move the train now.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us for the Cobb County Disparity Study Public Communication Session. This is one of many. So thanks for joining us this evening. My name is Trinity Williams. I'm with Griffin and Strong PC. We're a law and policy consulting firm contracted by the county to perform the disparity study. And would anyone else on the project team like to introduce themselves?
Well, I will introduce myself, Roger Ball, Chief Procurement Officer for Cobb County, and welcome everyone this afternoon, or this evening rather. Also, I want to take time out to introduce the Cobb County Chairwoman, Ms. Lisa Cupid. She's joining us this evening as well. And so I'd like to give her an opportunity to say some words if she chooses to.
Sure. Thank you, Roger. I appreciate the opportunity to be here today and the opportunity to see this program moving forward within our county. We've had some discussions at length about what we can do to show that we're open for business, and what a great time that we're in to have persons on our board who saw that vision and are willing to move forward with making sure that our DBEs are represented at the table. With Griffin and Strong, thank you so much for helping us to coordinate this effort and get this off the ground for us so we can have a tangible program here in the county. And Roger, just thank you for your leadership and procurement and helping to move the ball forward with this initiative.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. We will start with a short presentation just to provide some insights about what we're doing, the disparity study, and how you can all continue to be involved. All right, so again, this is our public communication session. A little bit about us. We specialize in procurement research, training, and supplier diversity consulting, contract compliance and program development. We are the most qualified team in this industry, and no study conducted by us has ever been challenged or overturned in court, which is important because disparity studies were created by the court. And the purpose of the study, it serves as an objective research tool to determine where there are disparities in the governmental agencies' procurement activities. We look at race, ethnic, and gender groups and break it down by industry categories, which include A&E services, construction, other services, professional services, and goods. It also determines whether those disparities are statistically significant and likely caused by the race and gender status of the firm owners. And from that, we also do findings, and from the findings, we have recommendations. So here's our study process. We start with the legal analysis, which is where we look at the relevant case law. We also do a deep dive into the purchasing policies and procedures. We do interviews with county staff and look at the policies surrounding procurement. We collect and clean data. We conduct a relevant market analysis, which essentially looks at where the county is spending at least 75% of its dollars. We look at utilization, we look at availability, and comparing the two, we're able to determine the disparity analysis, if there are any disparities. We do a regression analysis, which is also known as our private sector analysis. In this analysis, we're essentially looking to see if there are any other factors that play a role, like the size of a firm, for example. We do anecdotal evidence collection and analysis, and this is where you all can continue to be involved in this process, and we'll go do a deeper dive with what we have upcoming. And then we have a final report with recommendations. All right, so how can you get involved? We had our informational meeting already. Right now, we have a survey of business owners launched right now. That is set to come down January 17th. So if you want to take this link, if you haven't taken the survey already, we encourage you to take it. The survey is a way for us to quantify your testimonies and your experiences doing business or attempting to do business with the county. So we encourage you to take it, but also share it with your network. And I'll also drop this link in the chat as well. Participate in an anecdotal interview or a focus group session. So both of these events are randomly selected, and we're doing that right now as well. So if you do hear from us to do an anecdotal interview or participate in a focus group session, please, please, please respond to us and participate. Also attend public communication sessions. We have this one, but we also have one tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. and we have one on the 18th at 6 p.m. and that will be conducted in Spanish. Um, and then you can keep up with study updates on the website here at cobbcountydisparity.com. If you don't feel comfortable providing your testimonies in any of these events, you can provide your comments through the study's email at cobbcountystudy@gspclaw.com. And again, I will also drop the study email and study website as well as the survey link into the chat. But here's how you can connect with us. All right. So we will be going into the hearing side of things. So the purpose of this hearing is to hear your testimony about your experiences, both positive or negative, doing business or attempting to do business with the county. If you haven't done business with the county, we would also like to hear from you and learn why you haven't. Everything said during this hearing will be available for public record. So we will be posting the recording onto the website. But the final report will not publish any names, business names, or anything else. We are not soliciting any questions. If you do have any questions, please feel free to drop it into the Q&A section of the Zoom, or you can email the study email as well. But we are giving everyone an opportunity to provide their testimonies. We want to make sure everyone is heard. So we're not taking any questions right now. And then lastly, when providing comments, please begin by stating your name, your business name clearly for the record before beginning your testimony.
Is there a time limit per testimony, Trinity?
We do not have a specific time limit, but we do want everyone to be heard. So if it does get a little lengthy, I'll let you know. But we do want everyone to be heard. So, and we have a good number of people on here. So if anyone would like to start, feel free. If not, I'll just go by names that I see. Anyone? Any takers?
I would love to start.
Okay, go ahead.
This is Phil Barnett from Images Enterprises. You can hear me clearly?
Yes, we can hear you.
And I would like to state for the record, I appreciate you guys coming to Cobb County, taking care of this business that's well needed. It should have been done a long time ago, but I can state factually that I live in Cobb County. I left New York to come to Cobb County specifically based upon the school system and the taxes and what the county has to offer. And I've been through, I think this is my third study that I've been through with you guys, City of Atlanta, GDOT, and the story, always, the outcome is always the same, right? So I'm gonna keep it short and sweet. The only way this study is gonna account for what's going on in the real world is if there's economic inclusion, meaning the banking and the way how the money is distributed during the project, before the project. We're talking these larger companies are basically using us for funding. We fund the project. It's a paid when paid. Most people don't know what that is, but if the GC doesn't get paid, we do the work, and they don't get paid, we don't get paid. And if you can, we met with MARTA before during this process, and the City of Atlanta and DOT. And for the sake of me, for the love of me, I don't understand why we're funding these $1 million projects. I have the solution to it, but I don't know if the county or the Fed is ready to hear it, right? We cannot have DBEs and MBEs fund these projects. We need a bank that's saying, this is federal dollars. We do the work, you're gonna get paid, but they need to fund it for us. The same way they get a mobilization fee, the DBEs, MBEs, they need to get that same treatment. There's billions of dollars, billions. I've seen it. I've been on the projects. I know what it is. I'm listening to the other folks. We're talking amongst ourselves. But if this is going to be a policy, let it be known. But I think it should be law. That the same way that the GCs are being treated, because without the sub, none of this work gets built. The skyline has changed. We need to find out where this money is being funneled to. So I don't want to take everybody's time, but if you want to know the answers, the solutions to this problem right here, I have them. It's just that a matter of if you're going to listen and put it in law, not policy, because policies gets changed. It should be a law that benefits the actual people with the boots on the ground and the professionals too. Your lawyers, your engineers, right? That we all have the same story, but no one's actually listening. And your first study for GDOT, when I spoke to the chairman, he said he was going to make the changes. At the airport, Hartsfield-Jackson, that's like $7 billion coming through. The license plates in the parking lots for the workers are not, the majority of them are not here in Atlanta. They come from Tennessee, other cities, eating up the funds. How are these folks getting this work at on these majority projects, but your locals are not getting the money, right? It's generational wealth. That's what we're talking about here. And construction is the way to do it. But if we're not getting a piece of that pie, I'm setting the tone right now. If we're not getting a piece of the pie, there should be no pie. Bottom line. Thank you. I appreciate you.
And Mr. Phil, what is the name of your business again?
Images Enterprises. We do all interior build outs, construction, you want concrete laid, whatever it is. We're going to participate in it. We participated in your stadiums, so we know what the numbers are. Your airport, we know what the numbers are. Brown Airport is about to happen right now. Let's see how much minority participation and let's see how many millionaires we create out of these projects coming up. The skyline has already changed. So it's up to us to make a difference. If it's one Cobb, let's split the money. Let's split the money up evenly. Let everybody eat at the table. No more crumbs.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else would like to provide their testimony?
I would like to speak. I don't have a testimony, but I would like to speak on piggybacking off of something the last gentleman statements that he made. First of all, I want to thank you for hosting this program, and it's something that's needed. We know, but I think the true measure, and just piggybacking off what he just said, if the same contractors are continuing to get the bulk of the contracts, that's your start. That's the start to try to measure and see why. And once you start digging deep and you see the same names always appearing on the majority contracts in the county, you can let your mind flow from there. There's a reason why they continue to get the bulk of the contracts that come into the county. The small minority businesses, I mean, this is good. This is a good way to say, you're addressing it. But as the gentleman just made me aware of, I wasn't aware that this is not the first time this was hosted, or this is not the first time a survey and things were done to kind of measure and see how much participation minorities are getting in terms of the contracts in Cobb. Well, if the majority of guys are still getting the same contracts, this is not even called for. You just can see why they're still getting it. That would be where I would start. And how do you change that? That's just my opinion. I have a couple businesses in Cobb, and I'm going to remain anonymous because I don't want to. I'm just speaking in terms of what this gentleman said, and I think we just need to look and see why they're getting it. The same guys are always showing up and always getting the majority of the contracts, and the crumbs are divided upon the ones who are hanging around just to impede the minority status. But if you really want to make a difference, find out how do we bust the good old boy up in terms of getting the bulk of the contracts in Cobb. That's all I have to say.
All right. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else?
Hi, my name is Wilson Tamala. I'm the former chairman of the board for the Georgia Hispanic Construction Association. At this year is my last year. Actually, April is my last year as member of the board. I want to say a couple of things. Phil, thank you for the introductions in terms of what are the challenges that we have. The reality is this, in terms of the Hispanic community, first and foremost is the ability to learn how to play the game, right? That has been the largest challenge for us. We tend to be the kind of the boots on the ground and without the ability to be a larger player. Many of those issues stem from the fact that you think about pay when paid issues. Right? A small company cannot afford to have that type of situation. First of all, at least it's 30 days to get paid. You got to work at least for 30 days. That means you have to carry those funds for at least 60 days. And that's a tremendous amount of effort. And if you're a small company, you don't want to have all your eggs in one basket. And in essence, that type of funding or financing prevents you from growth, because if you do one larger job, then you literally have to stay on that job until you get paid. You can't explore something else, and it's a vicious circle. So to conclude, my point is, one, the ability to learn how to play the game. We need to bring people to the table, teach them how to play the game, And then once you're in the game, you got to make it fair. You know, if you're a billion-dollar company, you got a tremendous amount of cash to sustain, particularly based on the fact that the work is being done on from the shoulders of the smaller company. So what you essentially doing is carrying your overhead, and then everybody else is carrying the bulk of the work. You know, you got to find a way, and if I had the perfect scenario of how would that look like, I will tell you, but it's going to take a tremendous amount of work of acknowledging that a small contractor does not have the funds to do this, right? So in many cases, that creates two-tier contractors, one that can and those that cannot. And I can tell you, the ones that can, and I hate to do this, but this is a disparity study, right? Tends to be the ones that have the larger cash and does not represent the community that's here in this group, right? Um, so the second thing is training people to be able to play. And the last thing is, you know, if you don't do this, you're gonna have a lot of um, um, vehicles with plates from out of state, and they're meeting their the diversity goals from people from out of state instead of trying to create wealth internally from our own state. That's all I have to say.
Thank you for sharing. And you mentioned training. Is there any specific training that you're
Literally,
referring to?
I will tell you, there's a tremendous fear within our community to go into public works because they don't have the money. They don't know how to play the game. They don't know how to present their their um, their skill set in the proper fashion, right? So that's super important. And for people that are fortunate as I am, you know, I you know, I tell everyone in my office, I gotta feed different families, right? I'm involved in a larger job, then that means my smaller jobs are compromised, right? Because I can't fund the small jobs and the larger jobs because I don't have the cash flow required to fund, you know, a multi-million-dollar job that requires, you know, $300,000-400,000, so $500,000 in a couple of months. That's a lot of money that's required to play the game. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Thank you for sharing.
Right. Sure. You're welcome. Thank you for the opportunity for us to kind of voice our thoughts and really the issues that are going on, and really create a less of a disparity in as we move forward.
All right. And Councilwoman Cupid put a comment in the chat. This is Cobb's first disparity study. So just to make that a point of clarity, and just to let you know where we are with the process, we are analyzing the data. So there hasn't been a disparity founded because we're analyzing the data right now. So just wanted to clear that up as well. Smith Engineering.
Trinity, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good. I'm Brian Smith. I'm the owner of Smith Engineering and Associates. We are a small MBE, DBE engineering firm. We do all things transportation, traffic engineering. My experience with Cobb County thus far over the past couple of years, since we've been trying to break into the Georgia market over these past couple of years, is that we have not seen any RFPs in terms of professional services, because that's what I'm going to talk about is professional services only. not contractors that do the dirt digging and moving of earth and stuff like that. We do the professional side. What we're seeing is that there has not been any, how do I say it, DBE participation goals put in place with the pre-construction services. So for example, just piggybacking off of what Mr. Wilson had to say, because he's on the opposite side. Once my plan sets are done, his people go to work from what we do. On our end, there might be a RFP for a intersection redesign, and there's no DBE participation goal put in place with that. Well, I can't get Smith Engineering can sit down and talk with Adkins, Atlas, all the big boys out there, HNTB, HDR. Cobb County knows them because they do business with them, right? So none of these guys are going to utilize us if there are no DBE participation goals put on those RFPs. That's it, point blank. There's no incentive for them to do it. And you say, well, Mr. Smith, there's this whole thing of not enough staff, this, that, and the other. Well, we all know that on the pre-construction side. But again, it's just called plain and simple greed. HNTB, HDR, I'm going to name them all out. Neil Schaefer, all the rest of them, they're not going to utilize us as engineering firms or professional services firms unless Cobb County enforces and puts in place DBE participation goal percentages. Now, you can get real specific. You can say, well, we need 10%, and we're going to utilize that for traffic engineering, or we're going to do 10% for survey services, which is something that's desperately needed right now on pre-construction anyway. But what we're seeing in the market from my side is that there's no participation goals being put in place. And what we're hearing from counties, and I'm not saying we're hearing this from Cobb County, I'm just saying in general in Georgia, we're hearing that, oh, well, hey, we don't have to put one in place. We know that we need to meet a particular goal, but we're not allowed to put it into the RFP. Let me be blunt. That's bullshit. Okay? I say it again, it's bullshit. USDOT, any project that involves federal dollars has DBE participation requirements, period. Don't believe me? Look it up. CFR 42 something, something, something another. You can look it up anytime offline if you don't believe me. But with that said, if they start putting DBE participation goals in place, then our utilization on the pre-construction side will increase, which will also help offset what you're not meeting on Mr. Wilson's side, which is the construction side. That's just one of many different things that I would recommend being put into place. Again, no one's going to utilize us as subcontractors unless there's DBE participation goal put in place. Why would I want to share any of my work with a minority firm or a disadvantaged firm if I don't have to? Right? There's nothing compelling me to do it. There's nothing in the slate of the different ways that I'm being graded on my RFP to do it. So why? And I just put that out there, Trinity. I'll probably come up with something else as we continue to go down this road and talk about this stuff today. And thank you for allowing me to speak, Ms. Williams. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. We appreciate your passion. We would like to refrain from using inappropriate language moving forward, but thank you for sharing.
So Trinity, I want to ask a question. I just want to make sure I'm following the protocol here with the public communications here. So am I allowed to make any observations or anything, or is this just a public testimony or a recording of everyone's viewpoints, perspectives, and we gather that and we use that as a basis for going to the next step?
We would like everyone to provide their testimonies, but you can provide, any clarity or anything that you need that's necessary.
Right, right. So I just want to say that I think that was Mr. Smith. I mean, I certainly can't answer for other counties, but I know that, here at Cobb County, we have a lot of DOT work with federal grants, and we do follow the law there and with respect to DBE participation. I find it difficult to believe that organizations that have that requirement at the federal level or state level, that they don't comply with it in the solicitation. So anyway, I'll just leave it at that.
All right, thank you for that. Anyone else would like to share their experiences doing business or attempting to do business with the county?
I would like to say something. Enrique Reina with TransBlue General Contractors, GC. So as far as doing business with Cobb County, I'm not at that level yet. I just moved here from Southern California. But I did want to kind of piggyback on everybody's conversation, and whether or not, major GCs or even developers, and as it trickles down the chain, right? Are they complying with DBE requirements? And I'm glad to be here. First of all, thanks Trinity and the team and all our fellow business owners. But from my experience in Southern California, even when there are standards, right? Federal standards, state standards, city standards, county standards, there needs to be an enforcement mechanism, because even when that is in play, there always seems to be sort of a cat and mouse game of whether or not they're going to hit those thresholds. And the reality is, if there is no kind of enforcement mechanism, albeit a committee from the city, or an actual branch of the city or municipality, right? I know in Southern California they have branches that watch these sorts of thresholds, and it even goes down to labor compliance. And there are standards on the federal money that we're getting here locally that are there, but if there's no enforcement mechanism, or even on our end, we have seen where there's not enough contractors. Maybe that's the missing piece. And I'm happy to be here today as a minority contractor. But I have seen it happen in the past, and it was almost a norm. And I'm glad to see that the city is opening up discussions on this important issue for ourselves moving forward, and hopefully we close that gap through this disparity study, and just make public the opportunities that we have, and hopefully meet those standards. That's it. Again, I haven't done business in the county yet. This is my first meeting. I'm glad to be heard and glad to be amongst my peers, and look forward to the future in Cobb County.
Thank you for sharing. Anyone else providing their testimony doing
Trinity,
business?
can I add a couple of things? I had to step away because I wanted to bring a document that dates back to literally 2015. I was part of kind of rebutting a rebuttal on a disparity study that was done by the city of Atlanta. And I just want to bring this as a point of information. 2015, in essence, what the city of Atlanta, or the study concluded, is that there was enough participation from Hispanic-owned contractors, and therefore there was no disparity. Obviously, I went a little berserk on those findings, and then I found out that it was full participation, or the conclusion was reached, because all those that wanted to play within the city of Atlanta were able to do so. Therefore, let me simplify this. If 5 contractors were available, They all got contracts, therefore there was no disparity whatsoever. And that disparity really lies in the ability for a larger population to be part of that opportunity. And therefore it was the conclusion that was reached was statistically meaningless from my perspective. So I encourage you to please make sure that the sample is a sample of the community at large, not just if 5 people are able to participate and all 5 people participated. Therefore, we don't have any disparity in the process. That's what I wanted to add, and I wanted to literally show it. That study was done by uh, Keen Independent Research LLC, Rosales Law Partners. Those were the 2 companies involved, and this is the research that. So that's all I wanted to say.
All right, thank you. Anyone would like to share their testimony, doing business or attempting to do business with the county? If you haven't done business, we still want to hear from you and learn why you haven't. Oh, I was
Okay.
just about to call your name.
That's what I get for being on screen. I got somebody else.
Yeah.
How's anybody else? Okay. My name is Catherine Smith. My business is Walton Birch, which is a digital marketing and web development services provider based here in Marietta. And so I haven't technically done business with the county yet. I started Walton Birch in 2019, and I didn't actually even really start. I was operating as a solopreneur until 2022. So I really only recently started even looking into doing business with the county. And then as a part of the entrepreneurship committee with the chamber, saw Mr. Ball do a presentation on doing business with the county and learned a lot about that, and initiated the process. And so there were some good things and there were some bad things. And so my kind of overall impression is that it is possible for a very small services-based business like me to do business with the county. Another thing that I kind of took away from that session was that a lot of the contracts that I would specifically kind of either be eligible for, just because I'm a very small business. I have a team of 4 kind of regular people and a total team of 8 contractors included. But that even with a full team, our projects are far below the threshold for official bids in the bidding process. But because my team is also very small, we don't have like resources that we can dedicate to the types of relationships that are needed to get consideration for smaller than official bids. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Was that clear? Yeah. So the challenge that I'm kind of running into now is like, how do I find the people that can bid out, do the small bids that don't require the official RFPs with the limited resources that I have? And then how do I even find out about those opportunities? Because I found out that some recent things that were bid out kind of at the county, or I'm guessing the county level. I'm not even really sure, honestly. I know there were things that were associated with the government were being fulfilled by out-of-state contractors. And I was like, dude, I totally could have done that. Like my tiny little company could have managed that contract, that under, $10,000 contract. And that would have been a really good experience for my company and an opportunity for growth. So I'll just kind of wrap this up by saying, my company is based in Marietta. It is in Cobb County. And so when I think about doing contracting with the government, I don't have a ton of resources to kind of scour or spread ourselves across the metro Atlanta area from a bidding perspective. So I would love our county of residence to be the county that we do business with. But the challenge that I have is access to the size of contract that would make sense for my business. Even, for me, this will be my 5th year in business. Walton Birch's 5th year in business. And so we're kind of at I call it a make it or break it. Like I've kind of staged my business to points where small businesses fall off. And so I have a team, and I think that doing business with the county would kind of help us to get to the next level of doing business just generally and strengthen the business and grow the business. It's just like finding those opportunities has definitely been a challenge because we're still kind of unofficial in the general scope of county contracting, if that makes sense.
Thank you so much for sharing.
I do want to ask one, Ms. Smith, what type of business are you in again? I'm sorry.
Web development and digital marketing. But with web development comes a lot of other things. So like email management, backups and security, even training. So if individuals are using platforms, things that kind of go along with that. So we call it IT, software, technical consulting, and then the marketing and website part of that as well.
I see. Thanks.
All right, anyone else?
Hi, my name is Jay Staten, and I am with Jay Staten Consulting. I run an executive virtual assistant and HR subject matter expert business. A lot of my experience with Cobb County, I'm originally from North Carolina, but I've been in Cobb County for 10 years now. So a lot of my experience with doing business with Cobb County has been directly through my clients. A lot of them who are navigating what it takes for logistics and navigating RFPs and grant management. And I really want to emphasize the alignment of a lot of the conversations that have already taken place so far as in pulling together or the opportunities to pull together what could be a really comprehensive and well thought out plan for people of color and businesses that are DBE in the Cobb County area. And when I say comprehensive plan, the things that I've seen the most have been the challenges that come up when it comes to navigating the RFP process, the challenges that come up. To give a shout out to Ms. Smith, who was just speaking about, you know, her business can do these things, but some of the thresholds for participation are out of her reach. And then there's the gap in knowledge and sharing the information about what is available. And, you know, it's all connected because with that, her contribution about the threshold, that follows directly into another conversation earlier about projects and RFPs and mandatory work with DBEs as mandated by federal requirements at this point. So if there's mandatory reporting requirements for subcontractors and a federal contract to have DBEs somewhere on that contract, right? So that they can get their share of work, they can get opportunities for their shares of work, you know, making sure that those kinds of things are connected and consistent for the information, for the opportunity, for the training, a really well thought out plan that includes all the aspects of what DBEs and other minority businesses and business owners can do and can participate in to make sure that they are performing at the top level. The networking aspect of things, how to bid, how to write RFPs, how to search and source for grants, how to position your business in the best possible way so that it can get these objectives taken care of, put you in the best possible position to win grants and to be able to do business with the city. And while we're thinking about those things, also keeping in mind that it never hurts when we're talking about networking to have someone on the inside who can give that consistent support to what needs to be done when projects are coming down the pipe. So a lot of my business owners and clients that I've helped with some construction projects, especially real estate, Cobb County, maybe not as challenging as the city of Atlanta is, but making sure that while we are tackling a comprehensive plan to make sure that all of the areas that are crucial in being able to build and grow our revenue and income as small business owners and partnerships and collaborations, while we are doing that, making sure that what is happening on the front side of the coin, if this is an RFP and we're asking for a building permit for Cobb County, and on one day I talk to a customer service representative who tells me one thing, but on Tuesday I might talk to a person who tells me something totally different. So that's another part of the coin as well, making sure that business owners, people who are seeking to grow and expand their businesses, seeking to grow and expand contracts, provide services, are getting consistent information from the right places and the right people. So having something maybe even similar to an account manager who can help people to navigate some of these processes while these comprehensive plans, I hope, are being developed to help to expand the opportunities. As an executive virtual assistant, like I know that especially with construction and real estate, the amount of information for these RFPs is vast. And while you're trying to navigate that and also navigate the permit process, it can be really overwhelming. And I've had several business owners who have just said, you know what, we're just going to withdraw this application. Let's just withdraw this application. We have to find another way to do this because it can get really taxing when you don't have, I don't want to say millions of dollars to throw in a project, but manpower to do permits and applications and RFPs and grants are tangible things that have to be paid. And so getting the leg up on that kind of information by having some comprehensive plans in place to make sure that people who are business owners who are ready and willing and have the opportunity to get and invest in the kind of education and the information that can help them to expand their reach of their services would be really, really beneficial for Cobb County, I think. So comprehensive plan development. And again, thank you for the survey because I think that is a great place to start and continue. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Cobb County does with this information.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing. I did receive a chat, Mr. Francis. It looks like you were trying to speak, but I wasn't able to hear you. If you're not able to speak, you can drop your comments into the meeting chat. All right. Anyone else? All right. Thank you, Mr. Thompson, for dropping your comment in the meeting chat.
Trinity,
Yes.
I want to purposefully say this, and I appreciate the work, but I'm pulling numbers from not only your DOT and your city of Atlanta and your airport, but the other states are suffering also. The folks that actually do the work. You can do as many studies as you want, and you can write as many grants as you want, but if that funding is not there for the folks that actually need it, right? I think his name is Mr. Wilson. He said that you got to have that pot of money, that 400,000, that $1 million. If that pot of money is not there, there's no catch up. We're not going to catch up in this game. We're going to suffer. 2050 is your deadline where there's not going to be any opportunity for us to say, hey, maybe if we work harder, smarter, or together, we're going to win. The numbers are not adding up. This is me. Get $10 million from all these companies and put it in a pot with a CPA. And then you have the CPA say, when Images is about to do a project with the city or Cobb County, and there's no, let's say the threshold work is $1 million, and I need 20% of that. I can go to that pot and take 200,000. But when the big boy decides to pay me, then we put that money back in that pot so I can continue working, right? But if you expect me to put up 100,000, 200,000 to perform on a job where they already receive money. Now I'm talking about, this is real talk right here. When the GC receives the money, when it's a paid when paid, and he takes 60 to 90 to 120 days to pay the sub, because the sub doesn't want to ruffle any feathers, or they don't want to get blackballed, because there's only like 30 of us in this room, right? How come there's not more people in there? Because nobody wants to speak up? Well, I'm speaking up for the 15 people that I brought to MARTA. I'm speaking for the 30 people that was in the room with GDOT when Griffin Strong did the case study. And the lady was like, the project was stolen from her after she bought the trucks and the material for her job. This is the stuff that's happening on the ground, real time. But we could do the study and we could talk for an hour. But where's the actual the money that's gonna happen? Because it takes money to run this, and the big boys know it. They meet and greet amongst themselves. So when those cranes are going up, when the tunnels are being dug, we're not in those meetings. We don't have the actual capacity. There's folks that's putting up mortgages. They dipping in the trust fund. This is the conversation that I'm having with our folks. This is the reason why you having this meeting now. But we can all talk about our experiences, but the bottom line is the money. And we know that the city of Atlanta sets the bar. And if we don't look at what they did with the city of Atlanta, not saying that they're the holy grail, but I'm just saying that we need to get past our past and do something more progressive. Let's just have a authentic, real conversation on how does this work? How do we benefit? Because you got kids out here, 18, 19, 20, they never been on a construction site. They're thinking they're gonna go to school for 4 years and come out and get a job. And then we got the migrant situation that's coming in. Where are those folks going? Right? They're putting these people in 4 or 5 star hotels, and then they're gonna kick them out. Now they're on the street. They're looking at that labor force.
Mr. Barnett,
Yes, ma'am.
thanks for sharing. I just want to give others an opportunity who haven't spoken to share. But we do appreciate your insight.
Hey Trinity, I think
Oh, we can hear you
I
now.
think I was muted. My name is Saberin Francis. I am the CFO for Francis Business Consulting. I have not done business with Cobb County, but I've worked with a lot of companies from different backgrounds that have businesses here in Cobb County. And one of the things that have been mentioned is, what is in place as far as provisions for a company, a minority-owned company that's a DBE or MBE that are trying to break into that basically do business in Cobb County. What is set aside for those businesses? Because, if we're truly going to do business with, companies in Cobb County, then it needs to be companies in Cobb County, not, companies in DeKalb or companies that's in other counties other than Cobb County. So that's one of the complaints that I hear from a lot of the clients that I work with. And not only that, I know that one of the gentlemen mentioned about it being a playing the game. It shouldn't be a game played. It should be, fairness where if you're vetting businesses that are within the county, then it should be, provisions in place that if a contract is being awarded, it should be awarded to a business in Cobb County. We're trying to stimulate, businesses here, not, um, other companies that don't reside and do business in Cobb County. So, I mean, that's my comment that I'd like to add.
And what did you say the name of your business was?
It is Francis Business Consulting.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. And again, we want to make sure everyone has an opportunity to share before the end of the meeting. So if you have already shared and would like to add more to your testimony or anything you would like to say, you can drop it into the chat or feel free to email the study email address. All right. Anyone else would like to share their experiences? Looks like there are a few people we haven't heard from. Evelyn Booker, would you like to share? Sandra Southern. Oh, Evelyn, no mic. If you would like to have your comment in the drop your comment in the meeting chat, you can do that as well. Renee Rowe.
Hi, yes, Renee Rowe with TWC Global Solutions. I just put my information in the chat. I do agree with what the gentleman was saying earlier about, certain preferences. You've got the state of Georgia who provides preference for resident businesses. I think the same should be said for Cobb County, as well as additional perks for businesses with certain socioeconomic disadvantages. And that's my only comment.
And have you done any business with the county?
I have not, as of yet. I have looked at several different opportunities, but going to what some of the other folks said as far as resources that are available, that has been one of the issues in trying to get to the right people and finding resources to go to meetings, to meet and greet, to shake hands, to introduce myself. From a very small business. There are 3 employees that I've got. So there's not a whole lot of resources there. And also looking at opportunities and looking at some of the companies that may have previously won work, going into proposals, there's a lot of expenses that are involved in creating and responding to RFPs. So looking at the chances of winning those bids, there's not been an opportunity that's fit.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing. All right. Stacy Blakely, would you like to share?
Sure. Hi, Stacy Blakely, owner of Douglas Consulting Group. We are a civil engineering design solutions firm. We provide professional services, and we've yet to do business with Cobb. However, we have had projects in the county. I just wanted to support Mr. Smith on what he said earlier in regards to the larger firms' efforts, quote unquote, quote unquote efforts to utilize DVE firms and their choices, whether or not to do it. Their efforts, and I've experienced this, and so have a lot of my peers, are sending out a mass email, and that's their quote unquote effort. And so when they are, sending in their paperwork, they have made the effort, and they can say they made the effort and didn't receive adequate responses, or whatever the other typical excuses are. But that is a real experience that we have to deal with and that we have to figure out, because again, if there is no requirement, if there are no numbers for them to meet, and more importantly, if the jurisdiction or whoever the entity is that's providing oversight, if they aren't holding them accountable, they're not going to do it. Again, to Mr. Smith's point, why share the pie when I don't have to? Which I don't subscribe to that notion, but that's generally the thinking. And so I applaud Cobb County in moving in this direction to help rectify that situation. And I look forward to doing work in Cobb. And if there's any way that I can be of help, please feel free to reach out.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. Christine Telford. Would you like to share?
Hi, yes. My name is Kristen Telford with Telford Property Solutions. We specialize in residential inspection and environmental testing services. At this moment, as of yet, I have not done a business with Cobb County. However, I did want to join this meeting to understand the landscape of contracting at a state level. So I'm definitely getting important insight, and I appreciate you guys for holding this meeting.
Thank you for joining us today. All right. Sync Consultants LLC, would you like to provide your experiences?
Right. Well, I apologize. I just have to. I'm preparing for another meeting. I just stopped by because, I'm a Maryland business owner, Sync Consultants. I used to live in Cobb County, so my interest lies there. I was there for about 5 years, in Kennesaw and Smyrna. So from my understanding is, local businesses are being put up front, but they have to do the work. They have to submit the bidding. The Most of the time, the bids will go to the person that's most fit. And again, as a minority business, it's hard to be the best fit because I myself am competing with a with somebody who's over $100 million on a project, right? So it's two of us, and he has over 100 million. Me, I don't. So imagine the who is the best fit there, right? Who has the most money? So as we move forward, as long as there are opportunities for the MBAs, the minority businesses, and requirements that say they have to share some type or format with the contracts, that will work really well. So I just want to say I wish everybody the best. I do have opportunities that I link with Georgia businesses myself. So I'm a prime in some contracts that I'm sourcing some Georgia vendors. So I think from the state point of view, there are always possibilities to interact and integrate business as small business owners, and that's what we all should be doing. So if you're a Georgia business, I do have opportunities. We can definitely source and help each other out. So just look me up and just shoot me an email. I'm almost everywhere. I'm product and services. So you'll find me in those cases. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And it looks like we have about a minute left in the meeting. But before we wrap up, would anyone else like to share their experiences doing business or attempting to do business with Cobb County? And again, if you don't feel comfortable sharing today, we have a public hearing tomorrow. You can also email us at Cobb County Disparity at gspc.com, which is in the chat. We also have a website also in the chat, and we have our survey of business owners lunch right now. We encourage you all to take it and also share it. Anyone else before we wrap up today? All right. Well, if not, thanks everyone for joining us. We really appreciate you all for being here. And have a great evening.
Thanks, everyone.